Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to talk to you about how to approach paper one. What is it? How much time you need to spend on it? How do you need to, how do you have to approach it? What do you do in detail? So the first thing that I want to talk about is that you have around 170 minutes to complete the two sections of paper one, which are comprehension and composition. So section 1 is comprehension, section 2 is composition. Each of the tasks, each of these sections is 100 marks worth. So you have to be like literally even between each section. The way I distributed it, my suggested personal preference is to spend around 20 minutes for reading comprehension, reading composition, checking which ones would you answer. 35 minutes on question A. For section 1 comprehension, the same time 35 minutes for the B question in comprehension, which leaves you with an 80 minutes for the composition, which is in my opinion the hardest task of not only paper 1 but paper 1 and 2. Composition is in my opinion the hardest. So in this sense I would want to talk to you about how do I approach the paper. Alright, now how do I approach paper 1? What do I do? So let me tell you, the first paper, paper 1, is a paper that is thematic. What I mean is that it talks about one theme. The entire paper is a theme. Sometimes it will be about communication, sometimes it's going to be about films, sometimes it will be about Ireland, sometimes, and it goes on forever. So think of the paper as helping you, alright? So a lot of themes that I mentioned have come up, plus identity and change and decisions and pretense and courage and so many things, all right? So you need to keep your composition to the last section. You do not start with composition. And the reasoning is because you have to look through the paper and you have to have worked on some of the comprehension texts to look at the themes and assume what will you be asked for the composition, right? So the first thing you need to do is note down the theme of the paper, whatever you think the theme is. Look at the titles on the comprehension text. Remember, you get 3 texts. You choose 2, 1A and 1B. So mark the titles that grab your attention and interest, like which ones would I want to do. Read the assignments of composition and just think which one would I choose. Now the instruction of each of the composition part is what of course will tell you what to do. Mark the ones that you think are suitable enough for you to approach. Discard the ones that you don't care about. This is the first part. Now quickly read through the texts and look at A and B, A and B, A and B. My advice is to always go to B question and then choose your A question, because A question is just a matter of preference and the questions are about reading a comprehension, but the B question is about a certain mode of writing, like reports or speech or talks or whatever it is. So if you don't know how to write a report, why would you choose that B question? You know what I'm saying? So it's always like go to the B question first, choose it. You don't have to answer it, choose it, and then go to another comprehension and choose your A, because you're left with 2 comprehensions. Choose one of them for the A question. Now, by this stage, you should have a clearer view of the entire paper, and you should be able to have a grasp, idea of what you will be doing first and what questions will you be answering. Now, read the text carefully for question A. Answer the questions below it. There are 4, 15, 15, 10, 10, or it could be a different, like it could be 15, 15, 20, for instance, or 10, 10, 30. That's also possible. Read the text for question B and then answer B part for another comprehension, and then choose your composition, or actually you've already chosen your composition, and answer it. Now, you need to know the following for the first part of the comprehension. There will be 3 texts on the theme of the paper. You must answer 1 question A from each of the texts. Now, question A tests how good do you read the text and draw information out of it. All right, how good do you interpret the question, and how good do you make the judgments? Like how judgmental are you? Basically, this is the word I'm looking for. Now, tips of question A: underline the keywords. Read carefully with the questions in mind. Like, read the questions first and then read the text, because when you read the text you'll be looking for the answer as you read it. That's why I always say read the question and then read the text. So underline, use a pencil to underline, because if you use a pen it'd be very messy and they don't like it. We don't like that. So use a pencil to underline whatever it is that you deem is very important. Try not to be very obvious with your answers, because every student is going to do that. So kind of like, don't be superficial, go intelligent, go to a deeper meaning, try to come up with an own trademarked, copyrighted answer that will catch the examiner's eye and attention, but don't overdo it. Don't make or give an opinion unless you're asked to give an opinion. Sometimes you're only asked to, describe. Now, what we say, and there are a lot of, like, for example, a lot of students don't answer the question that they've given, and this results in their purpose of clarity of purpose being down, which means they're probably going to get a very bad grade. The rule of thumb is to support your answer by reference or quotation, and many people, and quotation if possible, and many students don't really do that. They just stick to jotting down whatever they think. So if you want a perfect answer, you got to stick down to giving reference and reason for your answer. Now, what makes me give someone an A and someone a B, or I would say H1 or H2, is just based on how intelligently they've answered the question. So was it something that I've read so many times, or is it something that mind blew me? Like, I'm like, wow, how did this, or something that's unique for a 17, 18 or 16-year-old to have done. Now, let me see what else I could talk about. If I talk about question B, for instance, question B can never be from the same text as question A, and I've had students in the past who do that, which is a complete 0 for that question, and you don't want that. That's like 25% of your exam gone because you didn't read the questions properly and the instructions properly. So in question B, you are given the opportunity to demonstrate your understanding of a certain comprehension by writing a short piece, 500 words, around 500 words, that arises from the content or the context of that certain comprehension. Read the question properly and then provide like an answer. So you always have to, for question B, find out the form in which you have to write, because it tells you write a short speech, write a letter, write a diary, write a report, script of a radio, whatever it is. Figure out which one are you most comfortable with and do that one. Do that B question. All right. Now, identify your audience. Usually the question will tell you you're writing this for that audience. Write a report to a certain magazine. All right. Hold a speech to an audience of, I don't know, whatever. So you will know your audience and know how to set your tone. All right. It will also give you a task, whether you should persuade people, respond, propose a solution, outline, give your own opinion and views. That's very important for you to acknowledge as well. So through this, you need to find out how you'll write it, all right? Make sure you understand the task. Make sure you're talking common sense, or like you are making sense out of what you're saying, and work very hard on your quality of ideas. Do not overwrite, because writing more doesn't mean you getting you full grades. Writing the minimum and writing in quality is basically what is needed. If you write more and you're great anyway, that's fine too. Now, the most important section for paper one is the composition, which you should always write above 800 words at least, which I always recommend to write above 1,000 words actually, but a lot of students have a problem with that. There's no recommended length for the Leaving Cert, but I'm telling you, write above 900 words, 950 words and above. That's like what I always aim for. I always tell my students. Consider all the questions. Don't jump to the first attractive question that you read. There are, if you're writing a short story, there are 2 or 3 choices, and usually 2 of them are easier than one. And don't like try to practice and see, okay, go through past papers and look, for this past paper I'll do this question, for that one I'll do this one, and assess it, discuss it with your teacher. Would your choice be appropriate? Learn to choose your questions. Plan your question and answers. Talk to yourself about what you will be writing if you chose a certain question. What will your answer be? Figure out what is it that you're gonna write. Short story, article, personal essay. Remember, a short story is always on the exam. A personal essay is also always on the exam. And sometimes you need to talk about you need to see, just like in question B, to which audience are you writing, or if it's a short story, or if it's a speech, or the purpose of this. The register, as I said, is it serious or humorous? The form, the purpose, the audience, the context, all that needs to be figured out properly. Now, the next thing that you want to think about is that just choose, well, so the next thing, I already talked about this before. Figure out if you are choosing the text that appeals to you the most. Do not rush into answering a question. A successful candidate has to display a fluent and efficient as well as energetic use of language. Personally, I like to read texts that are original, so it's a very bad idea to come up with, to just steal somebody's work and put it out there. That's a very bad idea to do, especially if I would know it. You would lose points for originality. But if you chose, for example, a Persian translated old short story that you want to use and you make it interesting, that's fine too. But for the sake of practice, it's always recommended that you guys come up with your own short stories or personal essays or whatever. Anyways, it's almost impossible to pre-prepare for a personal essay, as you never know what the theme of a certain paper will be. Anyway, guys, this is what I have for the terms for the sake of like approaching paper one. If you have any questions, let me know, and stay tuned for paper two. Thank you very much and have a good day.